Welcome everyone to my chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. This is International Master William Paschall. We're streaming from Budapest, Hungary, and we're going to be playing some blitz and classical chess here on the stream today with commentary and sort of fun banter. Just checking out an English opening in the lichess chess TV there. So anyway, welcome everyone. Good morning. It's Thursday, the 3rd of November. We've got 3 challenges already. Satis Troll, Mule Skinner, and King Wiki. These guys are all regulars now. Satis Troll, of course, with us for a long time. Challenging us to Chess 960, 5-5, Chess 960. We're going to start with that game. Then Mule Skinner and King Wiki with 8-3, casual, classical, or standard. So, if you guys want to play, don't forget that you have to challenge me to something between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. Maybe 3 seconds at the 8-minute time control and 3 to 5 seconds at the faster 5-minute or 6-minute time control. We're going to get started with the Satis Troll game. Chess 960 is usually a little slower kind of pace. Wow, the zeros are different. Check out the clock. Well, there's like little lines through the zeros. That's a totally new design. I have to get used to it. Alright, I like this opening position. Wow, it's really useful. 2 knights are in decent positions. The bishops are in decent positions. A Queen's Indian type setup looks really good here. We can also fianchetto this bishop on A1 is going to be interesting to get that in the game. We could open with E4, or we could play a hyper-minor setup, as I mentioned. Let's try that. I think the Queen's Indian type formation is okay here, based on the piece positions. It's a little bit passive, but it's something different. I'm usually getting a really straightforward pawn center, establish a pawn center early, and I thought I'd try something like actually, I was going to do a Queen's Indian formation. We decided to do G3. So English opening is viable here. This is a perfectly good English setup. Bishop G2. This will come in later with B3. Not right away. Wow, I did not really take in consideration too much this bishop on the long diagonal. Already black takes the initiative with B6. Yeah, it would have been better to play maybe B3 and E3. Okay, c'est la vie. Black equalizes here very easily. You could say he's slightly better now. He's also fast. Yeah, G3 was weak. I forgot he could play B6 so quickly. That's the problem. First game of the day. We're a little slow. D5 is a strong move too. I could take though. Take and play E4. It's kind of controversial. Let's try it. We do have a weakness, a backward square on D4. On the positive side, we fixed our pawn on the right color. His bishop will be technically a bad bishop. We have good white square control. Knights coming to useful squares. So it's not totally bad for white. Satis Troll is coming out of the gate here very strongly. He's trying to ambush me. So black is better. I think black is better, but we have chances for a kind of white square blockade. His bishop is a little bit bad, so I think that negates to some degree this backwardness in my position here. Still got E4 with tempo. Our king is relatively safe on a white square. But I guess we have to argue black has the better of it. Now, knight c6 is interesting because he is blocking his c-pawn. I'd really like to play d4, but that's just not possible here. Knight can come to b4. It seems like a waste of time and weakening to play something like a3 to stop knight to b4. Actually, knight to b4 is not it's not a great threat. But I really do need to develop my pieces. He also has to take some time to resolve his king over there. My knights are struggling to get out. Although they're performing a lot of really important functions like defending this square, defending this square. I thought maybe I could creep out somehow. Rook e3 is an interesting move. Overall, black is better here, I have to admit. Maybe knight c3. It's a fairly fast time control, 5-5, so I don't have too much time here. Queen c2. There's sort of backwardness for black along the file there. I want to play rook d1. Waiting with my knights now, because as I said, they're kind of performing some defensive functions. So I thought maybe I could play rook to d1 and the other rook to e1, something like that. Welcome everyone, Henning, Online Wiki. Satis Troll is coming to get me here. Now, knight d4 is not a move I like. This move, I think, is a major mistake. For two reasons. I mean, first of all, he trades off a pretty good knight for a bishop that leaves him in a position where he could have bad bishop and knight against two pretty good knights. But there are also the factors of the fact that if he takes with the queen, he drops the c7 pawn, and this way he loses. This way he loses the backward kind of pressure on the d file. So I think white is fine here. I don't think I'm better, but there are prospects. You know, there are prospects for me to be better later on. A little bit tricky though how to organize this. I'm gonna play knight to d3. Now my other knight's sort of stuck. I guess in a vacuum it would be better to play d3. I was hoping to get some sort of more aggressive formation here. But delaying my knight on b1 is probably a little bit risky. d3 is kind of weakening. It's weakening the dark squares. Maybe you'll have bishop b4 or something. To get my other knight out, but I'm not sure if I can get this in tactically. Now his knight is also bad on c8, but I feel like my position is a little bit dubious throughout this whole opening. I haven't really completely solved my problems. But we both have a bad knight here, so it's not so clear. He's played bishop d6. I mean, I could play e5, but honestly, I don't want to fix the pawns on the dark squares and weaken my white squares in this position. This is a very strange plan for black, the way he's played this here. I guess he wants to play like knight to d6 or something. I guess we'll just maybe not. I don't want to take that. It's so tempting to take it, but it swings over to h5 and I start to have problems. All right. Knight a3 is kind of tricky. Playing for knight a3, but I didn't want to block my a-pawn. If I played knight a3 right away, black could play b5, shutting my knight out of the game. He could still play a6, maybe. This is a really weird position. I'm not happy with the way this went. And it's difficult to evaluate. I guess I could be better if he lets me get unraveled here. What's up, everybody? Welcome to my chess stream. It's Thursday morning. We're going to be playing Blitz Classical Chess. This is one Chess 960 get warmed up. I really like the way Satis Troll conducted the opening, but now he's kind of drifted. With bishop d6 and bishop e5 is a very strange plan. I mean, the whole position letting, you know, putting himself in a situation where he had to take back with a pawn on d4 was really unnecessary. And now rook e7. It continues to get a little bit weird. So this is the plan. Now I get my knights in the game. It just doesn't seem like he has a cohesive plan. I can win a piece here with f4 and e5. It's a little bit drafty for my king, but I have to imagine we have to calculate f4, bishop f6, e5, and now he can try to sacrifice a piece with something like knight f5, I guess. Pawn takes f6, but I don't know if it's enough for black. I don't have time, so we have just seconds left. I win a piece with e5, and he has only some kind of speculative sort of sacrifices. This is not as good. He doesn't open up the white squares. He needs me to play e5 to have any kind of compensation, any kind of real compensation. But it's just not enough now. So Satis Troll, you had a lot of opportunities in this game. I thought you were clearly better. Just didn't find the right plan. Opening was bad. I shouldn't have played g3 on move one. And then after e5, c4. How did it go? I played g3, then he played e5, then I played c4, he played b6. I definitely don't mind. I don't mind giving him a pawn here if I can fix everything on the white squares. It's actually not giving him a pawn because I have rook a1. So, or queen takes d4. Take your choice. White's just winning. Now you need to come up with more concrete plans. You had such a good position, Troll. Very promising. Okay, chess 960 is not easy. And black had some strangely placed pieces too, but I would have definitely preferred black's position after the first 5-7 moves. It was probably like a clear advantage to black. Let's see, just for curiosity's sake, let's see how much the analysis engine says is better for black here. It's already half a pawn. Now it's like d5. Let's see when we get to the next couple moves. b3. So you're about half a pawn better, close to a full pawn here. And then with knight d4, probably you made a small mistake. So the opening was very much in your favor there, Troll. And you had a huge opportunity. Alright, let's go back to our challenges. Mule Skinner, King Wiki, Crazy. But Crazy has rated games, good. 8-5 though, Crazy, is too long. Crazy, you have some time before that challenge will come up, so please re-challenge me to 8-3. Mule Skinner we're going to play next. Yeah, Crazy, just re-challenge me to 8 minute with a 3-second increment. I don't think I clicked the check button. What's up with the new clock? It looks kind of weird. I don't know if I like these lines through the zeros. Alright. Null set. So, Mule Skinner, it's nice not to be white every game. You guys are trolling me with that yesterday again. Everybody challenging me with black. Gladys Troll, yeah, man, nice opening, but knight d4 is kind of paradoxical because I realize that your knight is like blocking your c pawn in that position. But when you do knight d4, you give away, I think, a pretty significant chunk of your advantage. And after that, you were still, I think, for preference. I would still rather be black. Even after knight to d4, maybe still you're a little bit better. It was silly of me to play g3. I'm usually a little sleepy here in the first round. Chess knight 60 is hard enough to find good moves in these alien opening positions. E4, what are we going to play today against Mule Skinner? Mule Skinner likes... He likes strategic, kind of closed positions. So if we play the modern defense and we don't give... We did this once, I think. Yeah, we don't give him like a clear path into one of his pet variations. Like he plays the Grand Prix attack anyway. We did this last time, but I thought we could try to improve on our last game, maybe. He's played f4 here, you know, and I'm wondering if we play c6, I guess white will play bishop c4 there. Play c6. You could also transpose to Gurgenidze Caro-Kann or Pirtz, whatever that is. Caro-Kann after c6, d5. Trying to put my opponent in a position maybe he doesn't like that much. Something more fluid for me. But we had this d6. I think d6, knight f3, bishop c4 he had last time. It's a way to really avoid it. So let's try maybe c6. And then if bishop c4, b5 is sort of interesting. Could try to do a really funky kind of thing. What other options do we have here? Knight to c6. Knight c6. The idea of knight f3, and then d6. Not really clear what black's setup will really be like there. We could transpose back in the Sicilian. I didn't really want to do that. I was trying for something original here, but you can't get Mule Skinner out of this set, you know, kind of recipe. He will not vary. Let's try c6. Yesterday we experimented on Weird Wednesday with e4 knight h6 in the last game of our stream ended up in a Gurgenidze Caro-Kann. Actually, even after my bizarre opening with e4 knight h6, it transposed to a line in the Gurgenidze Caro-Kann, which actually had been played between Topalov and Shirov back in '94. But somehow Shirov won with black, but I don't know. I mean, the position just doesn't seem very good for black. Okay. So, we go into a Gurgenidze Caro-Kann here. I was half expecting Mule Skinner to play some kind of weird bishop c4 there. Not to say it's not possible. King's Gambit. What King's Gambit? It's like a King's Gambit, but I didn't play e5. I don't know, man. I mean, if in e4, e5, f4, yeah, you're going to see the sparks fly. But if black doesn't play e5, I think oftentimes f4 is not necessarily a sharp move. It's not conflicting with a pawn on e5. Positions can get kind of closed. It's really, I mean, the Grand Prix is nothing more than a closed Sicilian, if you think about it. So I think it more of like a strategic opening. A lot of people think the Grand Prix attack is a swashbuckling attacking system. I mean, that may be the case, but it's more of a positional line, really. The open Sicilian is where the tactics fly. Now, this isn't a Sicilian now. This is a kind of standard Grand Prix Gurgenidze Caro-Kann. The thing is, you know, f4. By playing f4, white has a lot of pawns on dark squares, like this, and typically have some weakness on the white squares. I did play this opening on occasion. Now here we have an interesting situation, because I can take on e4. I'm not really sure if I should or not, to be honest. Bishop g4 maybe more logical here. Taking on e4 doesn't necessarily benefit me that much. I like this better. Putting pressure on d4 indirectly. I don't think giving up the center is all that great for black. Another opening I haven't played very often, on occasion, but I've watched enough Alexander Ivanov games to know how to play. If you sit next to somebody on like the second board of like 100 open tournaments and watch them demolish people like again and again and again, like how many times I've like, you know, kind of, it's like watching a reality show or something. You know, how many times I've watched the board next to me, Alexander Ivanov, just like massacre people with the Gurgenidze, and over my career, like in the United States, after a while you kind of like just learn. So e6, stopping any kind of e6 nonsense. The last time I played a Gurgenidze Caro-Kann, I was white in a kind of one against this Romanian grandmaster Badea Bela. That was another bad experience. Back in, I don't know, around 2009, I played in a 2008. I don't remember when it was. I played in an open tournament in Romania, and Badea Bela beat me with black in this kind of setup. It takes a certain kind of player to play this Gurgenidze Caro-Kann. I'm not sure that I played this accurately, though. My move order is probably questionable. I don't think this is by far clearly not the best move order. We've got to do something. We got this closed position. It's like Mule Skinner is a specialist in the sort of blocked, closed positions. It's very hard when you're black to kind of force the play, and I wanted to get a kind of open position, but if someone is sort of a specialist in playing closed positions, their whole opening repertoire is geared to keeping it closed, keeping it locked, It's very hard, you know, without like sacrificing pawns or something to force an open game. I have to think on this for a while. Against Mule Skinner, I'm not sure if I played d5. We'll have to look it up, but that's probably the best way to try to challenge him. Now here, I think he made a mistake. The best move is probably g3. g4 is the right idea, but I think the problem is queen h4 check. I have to be careful here there's not some sort of like trap or something, but I can't imagine what that could be. Alright, so I think he just missed this. If I take right away, White has a fantastic game. H takes G, H takes G, Rook takes H1, White's better. But after Queen H4 check, he's basically losing a pawn. And even if he can get it back somehow, I think, you know, he'll end up with like a bad pawn structure or something like that, at the very least. I'm not going to give him too much help with direct variations. Bronx defense. I never played against Julio Granda. I played in some New York Opens where he played, but I never got paired with him. I think that's the only tournament where we played in the same event. Back in the late 90s. Yeah, he's a really creative player. He's made quite a middle-aged comeback. He was inactive for a long time, and I mean, it's not easy to be like an elite chess player from Peru in his generation, at least. Now, like Emilio Cordova is strong, but in the internet, you know, in the internet times, I mean, we can be anywhere and really like learn the game online, or practice online at least, you know. But in the days when Julio became a top player, relatively top player, borderline elite player, you know, he's this sort of self-taught, not self-taught maybe, but, you know, he doesn't really play by book concepts. Well, I guess I should take here. He doesn't really play theoretical, you know, lines. He has his own systems. I mean, some of the lines he plays are somewhat theoretical, but he's not that booked up like you would expect, and kind of creative, and kind of makes up his own ideas. But he's still nevertheless the genius. Would be an interesting player to play for sure. Playing without book knowledge, too much book knowledge. Okay, here we need to be careful because White still has a pretty large space advantage, so I don't want my development to lag too much, and probably knight h6. That sort of fights back against bishop on h3, and maybe a bit more accurate than knight e7. This is not going to be easy. This is a position my hero would, not my hero, but as I said, I like watching Alexander play this. He loved to beat weak players with the Gurgenidze because the modern defense in general. It's still not easy. I'm a pawn up, but White has all the space, so it's kind of difficult. Now a4, not a bad move. Grabbing some space on that side as well. Tempting to play a5, but I'm not sure that's what I want to do here. I'd really like to get at his center somehow. I'm going to play a5. It makes things a little difficult, though. There's some drawbacks to a5. I wanted to counter with c5, and now I'm going to have a hole on b5 if I try to do that. So the other option let him grab a lot of space like a5. Didn't really appeal to me that much, to be honest. It's not that easy to make progress here. Now I could play c5 maybe. And then he like probably gets the knight on d4. And then he's again on b5, so this is not easy. Not easy to get developed. Not really sure what to do here. You could probably play knight f5. If he takes, we'll worry about that when we come to it. c3. Now my king feels a little bit better with that bishop diagonal closed. I feel a little better about putting my king on e7. It's not the ideal square though, because the bishop sometimes comes back to f8 and redeploys on this diagonal. But this seems very important now. You know, the central file, the open file. Maybe my king can go over here. Yeah, in this position, I'm going to take back this way. b4 quickly. Knight b6 takes knight c4. I should probably take actually this may be a mistake. I took away from the center. You might be able to play like a4, a6, a5, a6 in some lines. I can't believe Muleskinner is 0-for against me. He's such a tough player. I feel like we've been lucky against him. But now he's played b5. This is just a kind of blunder. And he just lost his concentration there. I don't know if I should bother taking. We have two connected passed pawns on the king side. And now we play knight c4 to block a5. But I feel very fortunate to win this game, in a way. And f6. No, we have a solid blockade. Welcome everybody. Tough game so far. Skinner not giving up, nor should he. Although knight endings up 2 pawns tend to be pretty difficult. Here he has no concrete threat, and I've got f5. f5, king f3. I'm at f4. Knight b3 now is no good. There is this threat. It's some kind of Zugzwang position. Some kind of Zugzwang position. That's what I just tried to say, with zero enunciation. Well, he has a check on e7. I better get back. Kind of a tedious situation here. Did you just resign in a drawn position? Maybe he just resigned in a drawn position after king takes f2. Maybe d3 is winning, but I don't think that pawn takes knight is winning. Unless I can get back in time. King takes, knight there. King d4. What's this? You have a draw at the end. King takes f2. I'm still winning if I don't take the knight, maybe? I'm not sure. I can't take the knight. Knight c4. Apparently I might be winning if I don't take the knight, but it's very, very tricky. You should never resign there. Premature resignation. I might be winning, but it's not easy. I made an inaccurate move at the end. So, King Wiki now. And d4. Let's continue the theme here of modern defense. The modern defense is a great opening because it's very flexible. People, especially players below master level, tend to be or have a hard time playing against, in my experience, very hyper modern openings. It's kind of an amorphous defense, so we can choose from many different kind of setups. And I can always transpose to the King's Indian because that's, of course, a major part of my repertoire. So, I actually, I knew about the Gingy Indian long before Roman Gingiashvili started creating his videos about it. There's a Canadian IM named Dean Hergott, and Hergott was playing this far before Roman was creating DVDs and teaching people to play it. Though Roman helped me learn how to play this opening, I had some friends who were playing. We called it the Hergott, long before Gingiashvili. So you'll see what I'm talking about if white plays d5 here, but he didn't. He didn't play d5. I mean, the critical line is really like d5, bishop takes c3 check. Some English players refer to that as the beefeater variation. I don't know if that's David Norwood maybe did some work on that. But this way white is now in a kind of slightly inaccurate English opening, basically. It's probably not bad for white. It's like a Rubinstein. A slightly inaccurate Rubinstein system if white plays a certain move here. Now, interestingly, I have had a lot of blitz games with a certain unsportsmanlike international master on the Internet Chess Club who plays e3 all the time. It's really pathetic for white. e3 leads to just absolute equality. Okay, black can't really get the advantage. Another interesting move, though, is knight c2, and again, bishop takes c3 check. That's probably the best. Knight c2, bishop takes c3 check, b takes c, queen a5. Black's got a very interesting game. This knight takes c6 is similar to a game I had with here, let's say like Monday, against the Bosnian player. Who's a master? What's his handle again here? We've been playing this guy sometimes. Where's my moderator? Oh, there you are, Saronche. Good morning. I was just thinking about you. What's the name of the Bosnian guy? He's like 2200 who plays here. Almost FIDE Master, FIDE Master Strength. That's it, FIDE Master Strength. He actually played a game with me with a knight back on b1 and then like g3, bishop g2, e4 the other day. But I don't really like g3 and e4. It's not very dangerous for black. But knight takes c6 is not very dangerous for black. So the whole variation is I mean, seriously, probably the best chance is like knight to c2 and let the pawns be doubled, play some kind of dynamic position, and really know what you're doing with white here. E3 is pathetic. It's like totally equal. Knight takes c6, so I think you have to go knight c2. If you want to even have any chance for an advantage. B takes c. Those positions can be very complex, and black can go wrong. Giving up the bishop on c3. But here, it's very easy for black to play. E4 again. It's like a good dragon for black, basically. So welcome, everyone. We're streaming from Budapest, Hungary, International Master William Paschall. We're here every day, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12:30 CET, playing blitz, classical chess, commentating. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, any kind of chess-related questions, feel free to ask them in the Twitch chat. Don't forget to tell your friends to join us here every morning or evening, depending on where you're at. Bishop e2 now. So I can play knight f6, e5. Doesn't really look like a sound pawn sacrifice to me. So it's about equal, but I would rather be black in these positions because I have so much familiarity with the accelerated dragon and whatnot. This exchange is good for black. This exchange on c6, bringing my pawn to c6. He can never put a piece on d5, which is basically one of the weak points in the dragon. White can always get a piece on d5 in that opening, so it's kind of a problematic point. Now bishop e3, that's a good move, I think. If I castle here, could get a little unclear. Castle c5. I don't really want to see c5. Kind of positionally break up my game. So I can always play knight to d7. And this is a typical maneuver. It may have some drawbacks, but I could, for example, play like queen a5, but I don't really like the queen on a5. It doesn't have anywhere to go on the 5th rank. If it gets hit, it's just kind of misplaced. So this bishop on c8 is a bit of a problematic piece in these type of positions, and I don't really know where I'm going to put it yet. We'll wait and see with that. Let's just get castled. This is kind of a typical position you get a lot against non-theoretical players. King Wiki's made reasonable moves. No major mistakes, just one inaccuracy with knight takes c6. And it's an equal game, basically. White makes one mistake, it's equal. White makes 2 mistakes, he's slightly worse. And white makes 3 mistakes, and he's like clearly worse and clearly worse, lost. But in this case, he's made only 1 slight mistake, so it's equal. But a dynamic kind of position where there are chances for both sides to go wrong, I would say. If I were playing a strong computer program, I would be happy to draw with black, probably. That would be a really reasonable result. Or even a strong human in a tournament game. I'd say, all right, a draw is probably a fair result here. Queen d2, good move. And now, one problem is this a pawn's hanging in a lot of lines. So that's kind of an issue. Like I'd like to play rook b8, but my a pawn is hanging, and can be awkward. The interesting variation I was just looking at, it's a little extreme. Like rook b8, bishop takes a7, rook takes b2, queen takes b2, queen a5, hitting the bishop on a7 and the knight on c3. It's a little fancy and probably over the top. I think it's better for me to try to play solid moves here, but what? I think a5. It's gonna have to be a5 at some point. The move order may be important though. Yeah, let's try something a little creative. I don't really want to see like a5, knight a4 per se. So knight c5 is a dynamic move. Obviously inviting a very interesting imbalance in the position, which some people would be averse to allowing, but I'm not worried about bishop takes c5 there. And now we have to seriously think about winning a pawn. And the value of, is it worth it? Bishop takes c3. Because I am putting pressure on e4. Bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, knight takes e4. And then where does he put his queen? Lots of squares, maybe d4. If I don't take the pawn, that's my argument for taking the pawn here, is like, if I don't take the pawn, what am I doing? I feel like white's gotten away with something. This is a valid pawn sacrifice by King Wiki, because Kasparov has done, not just Kasparov, but some players have done a very similar sort of pawn sacrifice in the Rubinstein variation of the English, which is basically a mirror image of this. So I think this pawn sacrifice is valid, and white has compensation for the sacrificed pawn. But on the other hand, I think that black has justification in going for this, because I eliminate his center. I have a strong knight on e4. It's probably equal chances. Yes, Ronche, thank you for mentioning, man. We have our first real milestone here on Twitch. we reached 1,001 subscribers. So, not subscribers, but followers. Yeah. So that's awesome, guys. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Saroncha. Now, yeah, that's an awesome milestone for a chess streamer. 1,000, not bad. Place to start. So we've been doing this since February, late February. We appreciate the support, guys. Also, check out my YouTube channel. We'd like to get that up to 1,000 followers. Video chess training on YouTube. If you enjoy my stream, you'd enjoy my uploads and my extra stuff on my YouTube channel. Queen d4 is one of many good moves here. F5 or bishop f5. Bishop f5 drops a piece, so that's not good. Yeah, bishop f5, g4. I just lose. So I have to play f5 or knight back to f6 here. Knight back to f6 may well be solid, more solid. But it's a tough call, you know. F5 blocks his bishops a little bit. You gotta kind of think about it. The problem is bishop f3 after f5, and I can't play c5. Maybe something weird like queen b6. f5, bishop f3. This is a good position. Very interesting. Of course, I can sack a pawn back to get opposite-colored bishops with counterplay. Interesting. Is there any kind of tactics? I'm getting a little bit low on time. Knight f6. Certainly playable as well. Feels more passive. I'm going to go for this. I would evaluate the position as equal. It's dynamically balanced. I don't think white's really better, and I don't think black's really better. It should be about even, but both sides have to be careful. b3 looks a little bit slow. Maybe an important moment here. I think he really should have gone for bishop f3 right away, because now I can support it with the bishop on b7. Okay, that's not to say that white still doesn't have chances. I'm very weak on the dark squares. I have to be careful. But I think he missed his clear best chance there. Now we're a pawn up. We have some play on the long diagonal. Also maybe with the lever on the queen side with a5, a4. And now he lost his queen with a blunder. But King Wiki, I think it was totally good right up until the last move. Right up until b4 or b3. You know, if you play bishop f3 here, I can't play c5 because the queen d5 checks. So actually, though, I miscalculated something. No, I didn't. Because, okay, bishop b7, bishop f3, bishop b7, bishop takes e4, yeah. No, you have bishop f3 just in time. And I think you're either equal or dynamically equal. You're not worse. Thank you for re-challenging me crazy. We're going to play this guy for the second time. Welcome, everybody. So, all right, we've been playing modern defense. Let's try a Scandinavian today. I feel like being a little bit more creative. Maybe I've done too many weird Wednesday opening streams, but I want to play more open games today. Kind of experiment a little bit with black. Yeah, this is an opening I played a lot. It's not really safe for black. I don't really recommend playing the knight f6 Scandinavian in long games, but I think it's a very good sideline, kind of side variation. Now, I was thinking of doing something interesting here. It's a little over the top, though. Let's play the main line. There is a strange variation, knight b4, the keel variation. It's not really sound, but it's kind of tricky and interesting. Wow, Crazy's just going down the sharp line here with c5 instantly. I did check Crazy's rating, right? Where is the stats? Oh no, I can't click on his. Only over here I can click. He's got an established rating. Okay, make sure you guys have like at least 50 games if you challenge me, because I've had some strange incidences with troll accounts. Knight to d5. Now he's thinking. He played c5 instantly. Now he's thinking. He's looking it up in the encyclopedia. One or the other, I don't know. Bishop c4. That's kind of a weird move order. I guess I should just play c6 here. But most people don't know this line really well for white. As you can see, it's very, very similar to the Alekhine's defense. It's basically analogous. An alternative you might think about if you want to play this opening is knight f6. It's just not very, it's not very dynamic. It kind of defeats the purpose of the opening a little bit. So maybe that's a safer move for black, but it's never really been popular. So this is kind of one of the reasons why I don't play this opening much anymore. Now that's a bad move. I don't understand a4. It seems strange to play a4 here. I guess it's not a terrible move. You got like rook a3, and it's certainly not the most sensible. All right, interesting. Grab some extra space there on the queen side. It just doesn't seem like a very developmental move. There's better moves. I mean, knight c3 and queen b3, notably. And I'm not sure if I should react with a5 here. It just looks kind of weakening. We have a little trouble getting the pieces out with that spatial advantage he has on the queen side. So, although a5 is interesting, I could play a5 and like knight a6 maybe, with the idea of knight to b4. If I had time to get in knight to b4. Maybe I should just play bishop g4. Developing a piece. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. Crazy is combining the strangest moves, a4 and bishop d2, leaving his knight at b1 at home. It's just kind of random. And now we can win a pawn, which I think is pretty important, because this pawn, I mean, it's his center, you know. This is the center that's defending c5 as well. But I don't have any more faith in this opening than I ever did. It's just so easy to find this variation for white. He misplayed it, but honestly, I mean, c5 It's one of the easiest and most logical moves, and I think it's one of the best for white. Just c5, knight d5, and maybe more accurate to play knight f3 first. I don't know. You can play knight f3 first. Bishop g4 is good for white, and then otherwise I play g6. So, I mean, maybe he played it one move early, but I think this variation in general is quite good for white. The normal lines with it. Rook a3. Crazy is right. Yeah, now knight d7. I think knight d7 is interesting here. But it's probably, worth considering, like bishop takes c5. Check out the time. He still has 6 minutes left. Bishop takes c5, rook d3. I feel like I'm not developing my pieces. So rather than being greedy, grabbing additional pawns with like bishop takes c5 or bishop takes b2, I'm focusing on developing my pieces. Yeah, Crazy just likes moving quickly. I wouldn't mind sacking an exchange here. Knight takes c5, for example. I'm not really sure. I guess I recapture with the king there on f8. Bishop g7, take, bishop takes d5, pawn takes d5, queen takes d5. So knight e5 here. What's up, guys? Yeah, bishop takes b2 is just greedy. I mean, this is not a consideration for me. It's just a very greedy move, and it doesn't do anything constructively for my position. I wouldn't mind sacking an exchange. Knight takes c5, bishop takes f8. It's not really necessary though. Bishop g7 on that move. Problem is he really gets a pawn back there. A pretty important pawn. I'm only up one pawn here. Rook e8. Maybe bishop takes c5, actually. And this is quite a reasonable exchange sacrifice. I'm on his rook. Yeah, he looks like he blundered. Allowing knight e5 here. Crazy's just playing too fast. I mean, you have a lot of interesting ideas, Crazy, but it's not a bullet game. I mean, I'm a strong player and I'm thinking about a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to play weak moves with this amount of time on the clock. You really have to take your time to beat me. There's also an increment with 3 seconds, so we eliminate this very dangerous rook. So we didn't have to sack the exchange, and we're winning. Yeah, after bishop takes c5, I think you should play what exactly? Good question, though. It's not that easy for him to find a move after that. Rook d3 doesn't work. I guess something like rook to b3. Then again, I have knight e5. I mean, it wasn't an easy position, but I think he should at least take his time to really find the best move he can find, because this was played very quickly, walking into knight e5. It's a pretty obvious threat. Now bishop takes f8. And we have kind of fancy tactics with knight takes f2 now. Now we pick up the piece later. I mean, I don't think he has any time for fancy moves here. That's a neat idea. Crazy is crazy. He likes his name. But, you know, when all's said and done, you're just down all sorts of stuff. I'm taking with d1 with check. Well, it totally didn't occur to me at first. I thought he has this on f7. I'm just taking with check. Good to see that, guys. I think I'm gonna have another coffee. Crazy. Yeah, that was definitely crazy. Guys, let's get some more challenges going. We've got plenty of time. If you'd like to play, we can play anything between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. A4 was a weird move by Crazy, and he was sorry for his impatience. I missed the rest of your comment there. Take your time, you know. So A4, a bit odd, but white, that's a very good line for white. You're definitely playing the right system. One of the good systems against that opening. I'm black again. He wanted to play queen b2 and at the last moment blundered. Queen b2? Which game was that? Oh, against you. Now I forgot the position. Guys, Sunday I do a simul here on lichess every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. or 1830 hours. For 25 players, long time control, 40 minutes with a 40-second increment. And again, 25 players. So if you want to play, arrive here around 6:30, and hopefully you get a place. And in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to a tournament in here in Hungary. So the stream will be down for a week basically between November 17th and 24th. Jeroen has a week off. You guys can check out the World Chess Championship. Okay, Kyrgios is not moving, which is uncharacteristic. He's usually here when he starts the game. Let's give him a minute, okay? We can chat for a minute about the schedule, and again, I'm not going to be here for that tournament. I'm playing a 9-round tournament in a city or a town near Pécs, Hungary, the southwest corner. It's going to be 9 rounds over 7 days, which I'm not really happy about. I'm not used to playing double rounds so much. Although I should be, because back in the old days, I played a lot of those tournaments in the US. But it's going to be fun. Maybe we're going to have to abort this game against Kyrgios and let him come back. We don't have a list of challengers. Usually there's more people challenging me. It's a little slow today. So we will save this game for later, and Kyrgios can come back. Yeah, eWarper's challenged me to this messed up time control. 5-8, and plus he's provisional. So I can't play you, eWarper, I'm sorry. I need somebody who's got established rating and the correct time control. Something between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. Where's all of our challenges today? I might have to go to the pool and play a random player. The pool. So let's see if we can find a casual game in the pool. Most people are playing rated. There's some casual games sometimes. I'd be more comfortable playing a rated game, but you never know what you're going to get. Spinal Tap is online. No, he's not. He would probably be on the stream if he was. Guys, send me some challenges. I've never had this problem recently, that we didn't have enough players. Jeroen is desperate. Alright, 6-4. Jeroen. Alright. He's helping us out. Where are our challenges today? What is up with that? So, Jeroen, let's see what you do against e4. Yes. The Sicilian. If you guys want to challenge me, make a challenge between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. Where is everyone? Actually, the turnout is really small today. Is it because it's a holiday or something? Today is not a holiday. It's the Day of the Dead, though. Or yesterday was the Day of the Dead. I'm confused. Is today All Saints' Day? No, we're all out of holidays, right? Halloween is the 31st. Then, like, the 1st is a holiday. Then I think now the holidays are finished. It's Thursday. Okay. I'm a little confused. Alright, Jeroen. Enough time, lead. Crusader of Hope. I just rolled out of bed. After a while, I'll wake up and play a game. I'm going to have to play some random dudes, it looks like. We have a very low audience turnout today. I don't know why that is. What is it today? Something going on that I don't know about? Jeroen may play the Sveshnikov against me. That'll be interesting. Not really well prepared for the Sveshnikov. What other options do we have here? Every Wednesday, yesterday was one of those days. I do a weird opening stream where I'm playing stuff I don't normally play. Gambits, unusual defenses, weird lines. This is the Sveshnikov. It's been a while since Jeroen and I played one of these. Now we do have another challenge. Sometimes we have a lot of challenges. Yeah, it's okay, Crazy. You can re-challenge me to another game because it's one of these rare times when I don't have... Often I have a list of like 10 players. Is my stream like listed on lichess? Yeah, we're gonna go with the main line here. We had one game against Jeroen. I think he played this Leko type of thing. A6. Was it A6? Bishop takes F6. G takes F6, knight A3. B5, knight D5. No, that's... What am I thinking of? It's hard to believe that Leko used to play the Sveshnikov. It seems like a very strange choice when you think about his drawish style. But that was an influence of Adorian, I think. The eccentric and legendary Andras Adorian, a huge influence on some Hungarian players when he was a top GM. Yeah, so A6. Also possible is knight A3. Let's play that today. A knight D5. We can also play bishop takes F6, of course. And there's also queen A5 check. I'm not really as theoretically knowledgeable in E4 openings as I am in D4 and flank openings, but I do enjoy playing e4. But I like to play it if I know what my opponent's going to play. Against certain things, I'm not that comfortable. Certain openings I'm not that comfortable. Sveshnikov, for example, is one of them. The French defense is another one where I'm not always the Winnower in particular. Some lines of the French I like to play, but the Winnower, that's one line I'm not that comfortable. I'm trying to learn how to play knight to d2 against the French now. Okay, so here we are, c3. Yeah, I think we had this position once before, Jeroen, and I also had it against another player on the stream. There was a Brazilian master who was playing here for a while against me, and you guys both played knight e7 against me. Bishop e6. Does that allow some kind of trick? No. Knight takes b5, pawn takes b5, bishop takes b5, bishop d7 is not anything, is it? I think you played knight e7 against me, Jeroen, and that's a very solid line. I mean, that's the Leiko, right? Or maybe not. Did you play another move? I don't recall now. It was knight e7, and the other guy played knight e7 against me too. That's a pretty common line. Pretty solid for black. But of course, probably the main line is still like bishop g5. I had a game with Grandmaster Dejan Antic once in that line. The d5 square, very important. Okay, we got a challenge from Crazy, a re-challenge. I think you're missing .org on my stream. Oh no. You're right. That's the problem. Oh my god. That's why we've got nobody watching. Why don't you guys tell me? Of course, that's why we have no challenges. Thank you for pointing that out, Henning. I knew there was something weird going on because there weren't enough challenges. The viewers were low. Oh man, it's so sorry that we took so long to figure that out. Yeah, I changed the title to the stream in the last moment, and I forgot to write .org in the stream title. Sometimes I just copy and paste it, and oh, that's really tragic. That's why we don't have anybody watching. They don't know that I'm streaming. Just the really regulars are here. The other players who don't watch that regularly don't even realize that I'm streaming now. Thank you, Henning. I thought there was something wrong. But Jeroen's in trouble because it's his responsibility. Right, you guys are very, very smart. But I suspected something was up. Alright. That's why there's nobody here and there's no challenges. I didn't, I'm looking at the board, so I don't look at the play screen. So I didn't realize. And not that many people stream in the morning, so people aren't really expecting it unless they know me. Well, that hurts. We lost like an hour and a half of our regular viewers, but that's all right. We still had enough games to keep us going, and I still, will play a second game with Crazy. Constant Change just joined us. Bishop g5. What are you going to do about the d6 pawn, man? I see you have some tricks. Jeroen has some tricks up his sleeve. It looks like he has some tricks up his sleeve here. Because if you look a little further, sometimes you need to look a little deeper. But if we look a little deeper, you see like the c1 square here. If I try to play rook d1, he can just ignore it, maybe sacrifice the d pawn and play bishop c1. and I'm going to have big problems. So it's not that simple of a scenario. I can't just like pile up on his d pawn and pick it off. Maybe h4 with the idea of g3. And, you know, there are often a4 type ideas, but I'm a little bit behind development here, to be perfectly honest. I don't think I want to mess around too much longer without developing my pieces. So we're going to set up this typical like king side kind of pawn structure. I think white is definitely better here, but it's not that big an advantage. I can't win this pawn because of the bishop c1 thing at the end in a lot of variations. And now, you know, you have two squares to the bishop potentially. It's kind of a tough call, but I want to clamp down on d5. I think this is just fundamental. I'm not going to give him any hints. I have an idea for black here. Nothing dramatic. I mean, there's nothing dramatic he can do here. Nothing like tactical or brilliant. I mean, he just has to play this slightly passive, slightly worse position. Opposite color bishops really, you know, favor the side with the advantage, and that's me here. Rook c8. I like a5. You know, you could play a5 and queen takes b5, rook b8, and go down and get the b2 pawn. So I think this is risky. Also, I have a4. I mean, I don't know. Your rook probably, it's tricky to know where to put it, but I suspect your idea was to play like rook c4 in some position. You've also got to watch the a pawn. But something like, okay, he wants to get the bishop. I think he wanted to get the rook off the long diagonal as well. Yeah, queen b6 is a good move. Unfortunately, queen b6 is a very good move. That was a wise decision. Maybe rook c8 is better than I give it credit for. Man, now he's ready to play like... He's ready to play like a monster. What am I doing here? Man. I don't see a4 really working. I don't know, man. Looks like you've solved your problems magically. And rook d1. This is sort of dangerous. I'm just fast enough to take on d6, so he doesn't have f5 there. Alright, we'll just have to play this knight b4 idea. I've got to watch f2. Good game. Good game. Black is okay here. Nothing else to do. Black is okay. Yeah, he's equalized. Oh, man. Honestly, I thought that you should play b4. Queen c5, not as good. Iran is melting down in the technical stage. But b4 was just totally fine. Now there's some small problem. This is not going to solve it. And the convenient rook takes b5. You really deserve to draw in this game. Yeah, just one little error at the end there. I think this is the key moment. You know, a5 is good, and after this just b4. I mean, after b4, there's nothing for me anymore. I could try to win the game, but you have a lot of counterplay. This is coming down, you know. I probably have to play c4, actually. I think after b4, it's ugly. I have to play c4 and just kind of block the position and make a draw. That's all I can do. So, good game, just a little mistake in time pressure. Crazy. Guys, we're playing 5 to 8 minutes with a small increment. We had a little bit of a problem because we didn't post .org in the title of my stream today. So it took everyone a while to realize I was streaming. We've got an hour to go, though, so we can play probably like 5 more games. Sorry about that. We realized a little too late that that the stream wasn't up in the lichess site. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, he just didn't realize how important it was to play b4 right at that moment. Queen c5 looks like a solid move, but it actually is a pretty serious mistake because he can't really defend the two weaknesses on b5 and d6. Sigh. Another close Sicilian type position, my favorite. And Crazy's like a totally different person here. In the Scandinavian, he's like throwing his pieces at you, but against the Sicilian, he's like a calm, collected positional player. It's kind of weird. Here I've tried many different things over the years, I suppose. e6, the so-called Petrosian formation, putting the knight on e7. I never really felt that comfortable with one particular setup against the closed Sicilian, to be honest. Soroche, yeah, my bad. You didn't see the title either. Yeah, well, we're looking at the game screen, and yeah, knight h3. There was a game I did in my videos, among my videos that I did for my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training, where a Chinese grandmaster played this setup with a very early knight h3. And years and years ago, I recommended this to my high school students. One particular kid I remember, Liu Yin, was like playing knight h3 very early on, and Strapunski plays it, for example. It's an interesting idea. I mean, white trying to play like f4 without the knight getting in the way and of the bishop on g2 and the f pawn. I think it's a very hyper modern and kind of interesting interpretation. You wouldn't have seen this, you know, 50 years ago, probably. The idea of putting the knight on the side of the board is a relatively modern interpretation here. In this closed Sicilian, in, let's say, the King's Indian, with the idea of playing knight a6, also wasn't really discovered until the late 80s. Players always played knight on bd7 because it was like toward the center. So this concept of sometimes the knights are better in the opening on the side of the board rather than in the middle of the board, because the pieces are better spaced. There's more space between the pieces. They don't overlap each other. The knight on e2 gets in the way of the queen. So there's interesting kind of philosophical questions about the spacing of the pieces that weren't really noticed by, you know, top players maybe 50 or 60 years ago. we've got to be a little careful here. I don't like d5, you know, giving him take, knight f4 type play. This is an interesting line for white. We could play d6, and then on f4, question of what I'm going to do. I think we play d6, and if f4 castles, with the idea of f5, probably. We could also castle right away, but if f4, can we play f5? Can we meet f4 with f5 in that line? I'm going to play d6 first. We can consider playing f4, f5 here. And then there's a question of how to recapture on f5. When I worked with Dvoretsky briefly, we talked a lot about King's Indian attack, but also we talked a lot about this closed English type position, which is what we have on the board here. And basically, according to Mark Dvoretsky, you know, in general, when you have this kind of position where white plays f4 and I play f5, Mark recommends that the catch phrase was that we would recapture the opposite way that white takes. So if he has a pawn on e4 and I play f5, he takes, we take back with the g pawn. If he has a pawn on g4, he takes, g takes f, we take back with the e pawn. It's an interesting concept. Okay, now bishop d2. This is a move that I'm happy to see because it's very quiet, you know, and that's not a dangerous move for me. I was much more concerned about f4 immediately before I've had time to really get set up. And now I have absolutely 100% intention of playing f5, white plays f4. I'm happier that I'm fully developed in terms of my king being safe. So f4 now, and I want to. This is often a very strong pawn sacrifice for white, a Dutch-style pawn sacrifice. So I'm playing this, and again, like we're probably recapturing toward the center. If he decides to take, I'm not saying taking is a good idea for white, but if he does decide to take, that would be the way I recapture. And I had a name for this. I call this, in my youth, this is the pawn bowl, or pawn smile. What do you guys like better? The smile, actually, is kind of smiley. I like it. It's very strong. I mean, it controls all the squares. I've been playing the English opening all my life, basically, and I played a lot of closed Englishes that are analogous to this, with the white pieces, you know, against closed defenses, like c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, g3, g6, etc., etc. So the pawn smile is very frustrating kind of formation for white to play against. We control all the squares. There are basically no entry points for white in this kind of structure. Even e6 is actually quite difficult for white to attack. Surprisingly difficult for white to attack. And we'll play rook b8 and move the b pawn. I like, for black, the best plan maybe like queen d7 and bishop b7, and try to negate the fianchetto bishop on g2. That's more or less what I'm trying to do here. I think that we'd like to have like queen d7, b6, bishop b7, rook on a, e8. But we may have to play rook b8 to get off this long diagonal, because sometimes he has some sort of sacrifices, like e5 maybe. So knight g5, weird kind of probing move. It's on my e6 pawn. That's kind of annoying. So we could play h6. It slightly weakens the king side, but I don't know. I mean, I might prefer to just leave it here for the time being for one more move or so. See what he does. I'm not worried about this at the moment, but he could play pawn takes pawn, and like rook e1 to attack e6 again. So it could get a little bit tricky. It may be better for me to play h6 straight away, not to allow any kind of weird tricks. This slightly weakening move I can afford to make, basically. So I had a friend who was a classical player, and he always thought it was weird that I could play these type of positions where all my pieces are behind the pawns, you know. And I moved. Korchnoi loves to play like this as well, especially with white in English. Now rook f2. That's kind of an interesting move. What's he up to with that? Why rook f2? If you guys encounter a weird move from your opponent, I mean, you should probably spend a little extra time to think about what they're trying to do. If you don't understand what they're doing, that's not really a good sign. You know, it may be a good sign, but it's also a sign that you might be missing something in the position. So if the other guy makes a move that you really don't understand the point, it's usually a good idea to sit there and think about it a little bit longer. And I've played these kind of positions long enough that I don't really think that rook f2 is that relevant here. Let's just develop a piece. I could play b5. It's a little bit loosening. This is a normal King's Indian idea, like in a real proper King's Indian, but that's a totally different type of position. And here in particular, white has to worry about like bishop d4 skewering his rook to his king. So I don't really know. I don't really think that rook f2 is particularly important move here. We're just going to go with a solid type of formation. Rook b1's a good move. And I'm just executing my plan, probably regrouping here. Now he's playing knight e2. The rook really looks weird on f2. You have to admit. And I can change the structure now with like d5. He's got bishop c3. Perhaps he wants to play that. I don't think necessarily a great move. I'm pretty much fully developed now. White's sort of doing nothing. I'm the first to admit I hate this kind of position, and I hate people who play the closed Sicilian with white. Nothing personal, but it's extremely like insipid and boring, and it's very frustrating. But you have to really just live with it. If you play the Sicilian, it's something you just can't avoid. Kind of closed positions. So you like to play open variations and exciting tactical positions. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, if you're black, you're black, and white has a say about like what kind of position, you know, you're gonna play. White has more of a say. That's the way it is, because white is white. This is the point now. I want to get that bishop shut down, and I'm probably recapturing with pawns here. Pawns toward the center, greater central influence. Notice that my bishop is protected. This is very key. And now white's playing against hanging pawns. Crazy, I don't understand, dude. Like, you're playing in a totally different way than last game. It's so bizarre. How can you completely change your style like that in one game? Now you're like ultra positional. Last game you were super wild. Knight d5. This has been my plan all along. We're going to execute here. Knight d4. Well, I talked about this long ago, you know, trading off the white bishop. Black has a little bit of a space advantage, and we get rid of this kingside defender. I think black is slightly better, but it's still very hard to break white down. He hasn't really taken any risks at all. Wow. Super complicated position here. Crazy, you had bishop b4. And I was seriously thinking about playing knight d5. The idea bishop takes f8, knight e3 with interesting complications. Man, I guess I could have played like rook f7 or something, bishop b4, kept everything protected. Bishop takes g2 check is okay, but e4 looks kind of critical. A little bit difficult for him to meet this. Maybe I should take first and then play e4, I don't know. But that's the central duo. White has abandoned the center here. Totally different game than last game against Crazy. Powerful passed pawn. PPP. What do we got? He's really like a different player. I can't believe it's the same guy who was like throwing his pieces around randomly in the last game. Now rook f2. Positional god. There's some problems. Now what? I have to take back here. Well, and sometimes he has a perpetual check on e8. My king is a little bit open. Maybe queen e4. It's kind of centralizing. This has been a really weird game. White playing like a completely different player than the last game he played against me. Like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of thing. That is bizarre. Queen takes c2, you have some checks on e8 again, but it's not that effective here. It's not that effective, it's just one check, and that's it. We start to have some threats. Interesting game, though. I think you have some good ideas positionally there, but a little bit too much giving up the center. Now we have a million challenges, but there's no time to play all these guys. I'm so sorry, guys. We didn't get the stream. We didn't get the stream announced on lichess fast enough today. Your chess is in development. Well, I see there seems to be like a conscious effort to play two different styles, which is an interesting concept. I'm playing against Geese here. Welcome, man. Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry we didn't get the stream announced on lichess. I forgot to add .org on the end of my my streaming notice. We're up to 65 now. It's nothing personal. I hate playing against the close Sicilian. Actually, it's kind of a problem when you're white too. I mean, there's certain players who are bad strategically who then it becomes kind of fun to play against them, but it's not really fun against strong strategic players. Once I remember, how was it? Oh, once I actually used to play the close setup with black when I was a weak master, strong expert. Sometimes I played closed Englishes with black, but it took me a while to realize that it wasn't really, I didn't really feel comfortable. Geese here plays the accelerated dragon, usually against me. We could try something different for a change. Yeah, let's try something different. I'm always playing the same line with bishop c4. We're just going to play a normal classical variation. Did you guys, and did anybody see the game that Alexander Grishuk played in the Russian Super Final against some guy, Kukarev? Grishuk just started making up random stuff. He did it was a Najdorf or something, and Grishuk played knight b3 against the Najdorf. Bishop d7. I like bishop e6, but bishop d7 is also good for black. Grishuk just played knight b3 against the Najdorf, and then randomly played bishop e2, h4. It became a kind of classical dragon. This was in the Russian Super Final last week or whenever, and you just got the feeling that Grishuk could just do anything against this guy who was 2600. He could basically just make up whatever he wanted, and the guy would just, roll over and die. And Grishuk ended up winning kind of a pretty game, but black didn't play very well. Just out of curiosity, if anybody happened to see that game, it was kind of cute. Looks like a pretty, whoa. I don't want to see it from your side. Actually, that would be an interesting training exercise, to play from the other guy's side. Wow, I never thought about that. Okay, a6. So we are facing the threat of b5 here. Well, this must be a fairly standard position. You guys are wondering why I'm thinking I don't really play the classical variation. I think once I might have played it, totally on a random lark. But I don't remember for sure. I like playing against. I like playing against the classical variation in the dragon with black a lot, and I've had a lot of games with black. But playing it with white, I feel like I might have played it once. But the game is very, very hazy now. Grishuk can get away with anything. Why not play knight d5 still? Crusade of Hope. What are you talking about? Yeah, b5. I don't want to play this a3 move. That looks pretty lame. I suppose you could do it, but it's probably less weakening to play bishop f3. This is probably theory. I don't know. I don't play this line with bishop d7 myself. I play bishop e6. What would Shamkovich do? Now rook c8 though. How does that change the scenario? Not 95 Khan was on last game, yeah. Okay. Is rook f2 relevant here? Probably not. I mean, you're threatening like b4, knight d5. If I do knight d5, take, knight a5 or something. The problem is that you're not familiar with a particular formation. Knight d5, take, knight a5. And it seems like black has pretty reasonable counterplay there. Rook e1 looks lame. Queen e1. b4, knight d5, take. What am I supposed to do here? Maybe I have to play a3 after all. I don't really like this. Yeah, this looks legitimately lame for white. I have to be careful not to be worse here. I think I went wrong here, but I didn't know what to play and I was getting low on time. Thinking about knight d5, I was unconvinced by that. Take, knight a5 looks okay for black. I ended up playing this weak move, a3. And now we could play queen d2, I guess. Yeah, it looks like Geese is actually not really sure what to do as well. Because I might be better now. I had some game I lost to Kudrin once. But how the heck could Kudrin have been playing the white side of a classical dragon? Don't remember how that happened. Why would Kudrin have been playing the white side of a dragon? He's a dragon expert with black. I don't understand. But I had the feeling once I lost to him. Similar type of position. Knight d4 now. It looks like fatal for black positionally. But he has bishop takes d4 there. So I have to play c3 first. And then it's like over. Not over, but better for white. Much better for white after c3. I guess Kudrin once somehow played some kind of classical Sicilian dragon against me. But I don't know what he was doing on the white side of it. But I just remember this happening. Something like this happening to me. It's just not good. If you play the dragon and this happens, you might as well just quit. It's a very, very bad bind that black's in here. And it should be avoided. Yeah, Geese made the comment, I should have thought longer on queen d2. Absolutely. I mean, I think rook fd8 is going the wrong way in any case. The rook is usually best on e8, like protecting the backward pawn in these type of structures. So, queen c7, you know, I think you should just play, like... Actually, it's not that simple. Not that simple. Maybe rook e8. E6 is... E6 is a fighting move. I'll give you credit for that. Okay, that's probably not a bad idea. You could have also played E5. Maybe E5 is even better. There may be some problems here. Oof. Okay, queen there, there. Really weird position. I don't know. Let's just try this. We're down to a minute. But I like our game strategically. His queen is like trapped in mid-board. Where are you going? Where are you going, my friend? An odd shortage of squares. Queen problem. That's what Josef Pinter would annotate. He had a queen problem after queen c7. Alright, thank you for the game. Constant change. Did I already play you? No. So we have time for at least 2 more games. We got challenges from Constant Change, Chef Master, Andrea Peroni, R10, but these games are not going to get in. Sorry for the late posting of the stream on lichess today. Give that queen a map. Where is she going? Too many maybes. So anyway, guys, welcome to the chat. You can ask any kind of chess-related questions you want while we're playing here. Geese, I think you probably had equality, at least, after the lame-looking A3 by me. I didn't really know what I'm supposed to do there. But I'm not sure what to recommend. As I said, I don't play that particular variation myself for black. But I know that it's respected as a main line. Maybe knight a5, right? In some moment, isn't knight a5? The question is a tactical one. If you do knight a5 in the wrong moment, I have like knight takes a5, queen takes a5, and e5. But I think even there you can do like knight e8. You don't have to take and lose a piece on d7. I think there are lines like knight a5, knight takes a5, queen takes a5, e5, knight e8, and black is like equal or something. I have to take a look. Constant Change doesn't seem to be here. I'll give him another 30 seconds to show up. Why the last game ended? Was the position of the opponent so bad? Yeah, he was losing his queen for a minor piece. Yeah, it was actually just trapped. He's losing at least queen for bishop, it looks like. Alright, Constant Change seems to have bailed. I'll give him another 20 seconds. We have time for 2 more games, guys. I'm going to be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. again, CET. And don't forget that I do simuls on Sunday on lichess, 40-40. So it's pretty long time control, 40 minutes with a 40-second increment every Sunday night, Central European time. So if you do decide to play, just make sure you have the time to play like 2 hours plus a game. And that's for 25 players usually on Sundays. 6:30 p.m. All right, Constant Change seemed to have gone to the bathroom or something. He's not here. We're gonna take him back if he comes back. But in the meantime, I'm gonna play Chef Master. Chef Master is 2015. Don't tell me he came back. No, it's Mahmoud. Okay, a new guy. Mahmoud, I think, were you challenging us yesterday? He keeps coming a little bit late. Alright, Chef Master, I'm going to play e4. Will you explain to me how do you know when to change pawn structure? Well, it's a very general question, man. I mean, it's depending, you know, on the features of an exact position. It really depends on the exact position. It's too hard to say like a general answer to that question. But I mean, there are certain pawn structures that are just good. You know, obviously doubled pawns. You know, there's inherent pawn weaknesses that you want the opponent to have. But there's other kind of changes in the pawn structure, like, you know, maybe playing a more advanced pawn structure or keeping the pawns back. It depends on how well developed you are, how much space you have. There's a lot of factors. Okay, so Scandinavian from Chef Master from Jamaica. d5, e takes d5, and black can play usually queen takes d5. That's the best move. I played the kind of interesting but not completely correct knight f6 a lot in my career, and I felt like I was always kind of like handicapping myself with that opening when I played it, but sometimes it was good because it would just take people out of book. But I really don't think it's a good idea against strong players. Whereas queen takes d5 is a much more correct move. So queen takes d5 is becoming something of a kind of like respected defense lately. Carlsen adopting it on numerous occasions. And I can attest that it's like very hard for white to get an edge. All right, queen a5. So main variation. I'm not a big fan of. I said that again. Queen d8. So that's kind of a trend lately, but I'm not really sure why it's good to not develop your queen. Oftentimes the queen goes to c. It's going to have to develop to c7 anyway, and there's no really big drawbacks. See how he plays c6 to go back to c7. Really big drawbacks in the queen here. Now, my knowledge of the theory here is a little outdated, probably. I'm not that up to date with what is like considered to be best for white. But you can't really castle queenside in this line very easily. I mean, I guess there are attempts to do that, but it's pretty sharp and dangerous. A lot of people play bishop d2. It's never a move I fully understood that much. De Fermian notably played that quite a bit. Now, this is something of, I guess, kind of main line. No, bishop g4 not main line. It's actually bishop f5. So bishop g4. This is bad bishop. Get it outside the pawn chain. Usually black's willing to give it up. I did occasionally play this opening for black, but then I don't know it really deeply. Bishop g7, g4. Sorry guys. Yeah, once I had a guy do this, I was actually black, and an expert strength player did bishop takes f7 check against me. One of my few Scandinavian games with black. Can you believe it? Somebody did this, and then like knight e5 check, queen takes e5, resigns. And it was a 2100 player. It wasn't like a Patzer. I mean, it was embarrassing for everybody involved. Bishop g4. So h3 and g4, and then like bishop g6. Just trying to review in my mind. Ian Rogers, the Australian Grandmaster, was one of the bigger experts in this opening for black. He's now kind of a senior Grandmaster. Bishop g4. I wish I knew more theory here. So am I supposed to do h3 and g4? Knight e5? Feels so radical to do that. And then like bishop e4 can be played. And then what do you do? And I'm not sure it's even good to do h3 and g4 so quickly. We're going to play h3 anyway. He has two choices. He can also take here, and that's a solider, if that's a word, a more solid way for black to play, but it's not bad. A lot of people really have a hang-up with the two bishops, and they think the two bishops are everything. But honestly, I mean, after bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, it's hard for white to really use the dark squared bishop in these type of structures. So I don't think there's anything really inherently wrong with trading bishop takes f3. And then g4, knight e5. I just don't know what's up with this position theoretically. I know the bishop f5 a little bit better. So I feel like I'm weakening my king side a lot with g4. And after g4, bishop g6, knight e5, I guess that's theory. Let's try it. It's very sharp, and Chef Master probably knows the line better than me. But I don't really feel like there's anything else for white to do in this position. Now here we could maybe think about bishop d2 or bishop d2. Well, I know what happens after bishop d2, queen b6, hitting my b2 pawn. I'm just running out of time, so we're going to have to play faster. Knight e5, I guess we'll just go for it. This is probably a main line, but I'm totally out of my element here. I don't remember. Yeah, constant change, it's okay. Oh, he challenged me to raid it again? He challenged me to raid it. Yeah, knight d7 now. I think I'm supposed to take on g6. I don't have to take right away necessarily. But I am running out of time. Yeah, constant change. I have to ask you to challenge me to non-rated, casual. It's just kind of a handicap, you know, commentating and giving people moves. The rated games aren't going to fly. He had more adventurous moves there, probably. This is probably still some kind of book. Well, Gingy was advocating bishop b4 normally in these positions. He's double attacking my pawns. I think he can really try to grab that pawn. This may still be theory. I don't see a convenient way of defending this pawn. I have d5 though. What's up with d5? Is this possible? Some kind of mistake? I don't know. Chef Master has 5 minutes. Taking the pawn on b2 looks dangerous. Actually, what do I do here now? Knight takes d5, takes, bishop takes d5. Yeah. What else is there to do? I don't know what I'm thinking about. This is probably some kind of obscure theory. I can't castle. Drop my h3 pawn. Well, I could, yeah, actually. I'm not so sure that this is a threat. It's unclear. I shouldn't adventure this kind of sharp line without knowing the theory better. Guys, we have time for one more game after this, unless it's a really, really short one. Tomorrow we'll be back, 10 a.m. Chef Master on the verge of taking me out here. Sharp position. He knew the theory better than me, no doubt. I'm not convinced that we both played this perfectly, though. My memory on this variation is just really, really foggy and vague. Looks kind of reasonable. Here black can try to grab a pawn, or he can castle. There's really two options. There's the dangerous option and the safe option. I don't know what else he can do. There's probably other moves. He could do a neutral move like maybe knight f6 or something. That's probably not that critical. I'm afraid I have to play bishop b3 here. It doesn't really look like I have anything. I'm probably slightly worse in this position. Bishop pair, though. I was a little surprised by knight f6. I really thought knight c5, you know, going for my bishop would make more sense. Queen takes b2 was utter chaos as well. I think that might have been good for black, but absolutely kind of complicated. So you see, it's kind of like a Caro-Kann for black. It looks like he has a good game. Knight f6 is fine. I mean, it's certainly fine. Nothing wrong with it. He could have also played knight c5. It seems like black has a reasonable, solid position. Caro-Kann style here. I've got to move instantaneously because I'm going to lose on time if I don't. And maybe f4. This is sort of double-edged because I'm a little backward on the h file, but actually I'm trying to get rid of my own backward pawn along the f file here and break with f5. If I break with f5, I mean, there is a chance I could be better with the bishop pair. And this is kind of a classic situation. The bishop pair, not that big a deal in this Scandinavian, I think. I didn't see f5. Maybe it was working there. But it looks like now I'm better. Chef Master playing too cautiously with king a8. I'm not sure what to recommend, but now he's got some strategic questions to answer to. You know, the pawn structure is breaking up, and still he's okay. I don't know. I felt he played too cautiously. Maybe not. Maybe it's okay. I think white is slightly better now. Two bishops start to be pretty relevant here. In this open position, we can argue that I'm slightly better. I don't know if it's enough or not. What is going on now? He's walked into a pin. He walked into a pin with queen takes e6. Obviously, he could have played pawn takes e6 and been okay there. Bishop c1 is essential because he can get out of the pin with queen e5. If I played, well, there is no other square really to go to with my bishop, so it wasn't a tough call, actually. Bishop c1, defending b2. This was essentially forced. Just not like I'm going to put my bishop on e1 or something. So we got kind of lucky here. Everything's protected, and I'm just picking this off, and there's no rook h5. And b2 is defended, so Chef Master just has to lose a piece for nothing. That's a pretty unfortunate turn of events after a tremendous opening where I thought he was better and I was unfamiliar and he had more time. He just kind of like played a little bit routinely, I thought. Lots of interesting possibilities though that could have gone down here that didn't. a5. Ooh, that hurts. That is gonna hurt. Well, the only thing I feel good about in this game really is the fact that I kept my composure, because we were really, I thought, kind of screwed on time, and then the position was like not great. White's a little overextended. I didn't really know what I'm supposed to do. So thanks for the game, Chef Master. I think you had a good game for sure. Just not clear like which was the exactly best variation. I'm gonna play constant change. He changed his challenge to casual. What's up, Andrea? You want to play? If you want to play one more game, because Constant Change was here first, and he like wasn't there when the game was supposed to start. I told him I would play. Andrea, if you want, like we can play a 5-minute game. Because you were kind of next in line, but he was there first, so I wasn't sure. But if you want to challenge me to 5-3 or something, Andrea, I'd be happy to play like one more game. The 8-3 though, I don't want to do another 8-3 game. It's a little too much for today. Okay, so the interesting opening here. This is now what is it called? Somebody help me out. I saw Elvis play this once. Absolutely crushed somebody, but it's objectively, kind of like a weird Dutch. Not really. Once I played against some Syrian guy and won an unconvincing game. I'm not sure what White's best is, to be honest. Move 14, he's talking about last game. That's ancient history. I don't know. It's been a long time ago. So, yeah, this is a weird line. I played knight c3. What would Novikov do? Like g3, kind of turned into a Leningrad Dutch. Except I haven't played c4, but that's okay. Yeah, this actually probably transposes to a known line of the Leningrad Dutch. After g6, I'm actually more comfortable with you playing g6 because I have had some games like this in the Dutch. If you don't do g6, the position is kind of weird. So I like, and there are lines with knight c3 and whatnot. And once I like crushed Huang Tan Tran a long time ago, where I just rammed the pawn like down to h6 and she was just devastated. It's pretty nasty actually. When the Leningrad Dutch goes bad and you get a quick attack on the king side, this is similar to what happened to Huang Tan Tran. The one time I beat her in the Dutch, the only time I beat her, but this looks pretty bad for black actually. I also beat Curto, the legendary New England master, with a very similar, simple kind of attack. But it's not like it's over. It's complicated. I think I'm going to opt for h6. That's similar to the game with Huang Tan Tran. But I don't remember like later on how it ended. I mean, I know I won, but I'm not sure like exactly what the denouement was in that game. But this looks actually kind of interesting. Black will play knight c7. And constant change, I don't know who it is, this player. Pretty high rated though. 2100 in classical and very fast. But he's actually playing very fast. He's only 1800 in bullet. Blitz 1900. I want to be careful of a few things. I mean, I don't want to lose my h-pawn. That's kind of the #1 priority here. I don't want to lose that pawn. So with that in mind, we could definitely sacrifice something with knight e6 here. Take, check. And if he takes bishop c4, I have compensation. I mean, I think this would be a valid pawn sacrifice. White would have long-term compensation, but it's not absolutely necessary. It is a very forcing move, though. It's kind of nice. Bishop g2. Alright, let's try this. Speculative and interesting. I think I have compensation for the sacrificed pawn. He doesn't have to take it. Yeah, it looks a little crazy. But who knows? Yeah, Chef Master last game. I mean, you're still fine if you play F takes E, but you're just slightly worse. Kind of a standard position. I don't think you're in grave danger. But the two bishops, now I have a position I can work with there with a slight advantage, I think. But earlier you probably had a lot of good opportunities. Now, bishop g5, I guess. Or bishop d5 check. Do we have anything tactically? I feel like I should just develop my pieces. But constant change, I don't understand. I mean, he's playing with no time, this insane position, very quickly. He's not taking his time at all. I would be scared. with black. It's kind of scary how fast he's playing. That's a good move. Maybe I should open up the game with e4. Looks good, right? Fundamental. Fundamental, open the position when the opponent's king is unsafe. It's got to be right. I can castle either way. I think it's clearly the right plan for me. Against a computer, you'd probably be toast here, but I'm not a computer. So, I will play one more blitz game with Andrea. If he re-challenged me to 5-2, that's cool. We're a little over time, but that's alright. I've got 15 minutes to spare. Yeah, Chef Master, I really thought the takes on b2 was probably a very reasonable try. It's normally scary to take poison pawns like that, but I'm also in a kind of awkward situation where castling kingside drops my h3 pawn to rook takes h3. So I'm not sure if that's... This is talking about last game, guys, in the Scandinavian. You know, I wasn't at all confident about queen takes b2. I thought that, you know, you probably have the upper hand there in an unclear kind of position. I definitely made some sort of theoretical mistake in that opening. I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I felt like black was better in the last game. Not just on time, but my position felt like a little bit wrong somehow. I didn't have the maximum. Yeah, e4 is strong now. You know, if he doesn't take, I'm going to take and open the position up more. And it's not really clear where he should put his king. You know, it could go to d7, it could go to f7. It's going to have to run away, obviously. But, you know, where do you run to? Do you run to d7 in the middle of the board, or do you run to f7 where I have pieces that can get at him? It looks really dangerous. So we're playing pretty aggressively. But black started this with this... What is the name of this thing? Can somebody remind me? This opening after d4, c5, d5, f5. It has a name. Oh, wait, it's some English name. That's why I don't remember it. It's some specifically English reference to something. Clarendon Court. That's it. Clarendon Court. There is a Clarendon Street in Boston. Clarendon is probably a very old English name. The origins of the name of the Clarendon Court that we see here. Some English players, I think Mark Levitt or someone like that, played it. We'd have to find a real authority on English chess like Mark Hebden or someone to verify the origins of this opening's name. If I'm not mistaken, though, the English I am, Levitt played it. Probably some stronger players than him, too. As I mentioned, Elvis I caught playing this once, crushing somebody. Alright, now, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. It's not necessary to play it right away. What is the best move here? I'm going to go for it, though. I don't really know what else to do. Now, he could just give the pawn back and choose not to open the position, maybe. My job is easy. I really have to just like finish my development. He decided to do that. To like give a pawn back here. But okay, fine. Takes on g6 check, pawn takes g6. Interesting interesting solution. All right. Now there's this e6 square. Bishop h3. Bishop h3 blocks my defense of the h6 pawn, so I think that's probably a mistake. Very sensible decision by black to return the pawn there. I don't want to check on the e-file, and I decided to preemptively defend. Also prevent d5. It is a kind of backward move for me, though. Very interesting game by black. I just didn't know how I was going to meet this queen check. Maybe I could play king f1. I could have played something like queen d2, but I wasn't sure. He has a strong center here. Maybe black's fine, but it's a sort of difficult position to play over the board, I would think. You'd have to play virtually perfectly. Look at this queen f5 move. Quite strong. He's down to 47 seconds. And then he's playing pretty tough. Bishop h3 now. Can we trap another queen? Can we get another queen trap, please? Well, f4. I think his queen is trapped. He's going to have to lose, but he loses some material, but not that much, actually. He has almost enough material for it. Unless I have g4. Actually, I have g4. Queen h5, g4. And then I have like bishop f2, so he's probably losing a piece there. Interesting game. Now, this isn't going to be good enough because of g4. And if takes g5, wins a piece. Yeah, okay, last game, Andrea Peroni. Let's play a quick blitz game. I felt bad because Andrea was waiting, and I kind of put constant change back in the list. So we're going to play one more bonus game for the day. The Dutch Benoni defense. I beat Sati Husari. It's an IM from Syria. That's the only game I ever played over the board in that line. But I have played the knight h3 line against the Leningrad Dutch a lot, so it's kind of a easy transition. When you've played the lines with knight h3 and the Leningrad Dutch, it's very similar to that. Okay, so far, main line, Spanish. This is early. Normally castle's h3. I think you're you're probably benefiting me by not making me have to play h3. Bestowing a benefit upon me. This slight, slightly unusual move order where castles and h3 are not included. I had a similar game last week and I was looking it up, and because last week I think I played somebody where I later inserted h3 because I wasn't sure, but looking at it, it looks like I don't need to play h3. This is probably good for white. I'm trying to remember. I think I looked at knight to c6 or something. But then h3 makes sense. Yeah, I must have looked at this. Knight c6 and then h3. This is just a bad move. Andrea, I've seen him do this before. And it's a kind of bad habit of this trying to play for this fishing pole type of idea. But your development is not all there in this position. If you had even if you had complete development, this seems like a strange idea here. h3. And I don't know what his intention is. I mean, to go back or to play h5 or knight h6 or what. This is a very strange move. You're leaving the center. You have control over d5 and e4 to think about. And you also have development. This is very early in the opening. You need to keep the classical principles in your mind at all times, especially this early in the game when we're really still in the opening. You gotta say to yourself, look, I'm just abandoning the center here. That's bad. And now you've lost control of e5. Well, you never really had enough control of e5. And that's the problem. That's why I was saying probably knight c6 here is the best try. You have to reinforce the e5. You don't really want to give up the center per se, so knight c6, I guess. Knight c6, h3, castles, knight c3, and white is slightly better. Now you just have a bad game. Knight is badly placed on h6, even if I don't necessarily want to take, because it would give away a powerful bishop for a knight on the side of the board. It's just badly placed. It can't get back into the game from h6 in this position. Guys, I'm going to be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. CET. We're going to be playing more chess, obviously, and e5. This could potentially give him an f5 knight move. So let's think about this for a second. My instinct is to play e5, but I will be giving him a way of getting his knight back in the game if I do that. We could also simply play bishop takes h6 at some point. Bishop e4 comes to mind. Let's do it. This possibility is one. Maybe we take the knight on h6 in some variations. I was thinking about bishop e4, but he's just losing a piece here. I think Andrea was felt a little bit rushed. We asked him to play a blitz game, and we're normally playing a little bit longer game. So he's just dropped a piece. Anyway, it's a learning experience. Bishop g5, kind of interesting tactical try here. Bishop takes h6. I'm still not developed myself. I'm still not completely developed myself here. Queen h5 is an interesting move. With some threats. some threats. Nakamura loves to play queen h5, right? That's just not respect, you know, to play it on the second move. Queen h5, the queen attack. So guys, we're going to be back, and Friday, that's tomorrow, 10 a.m. CET. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and also, of course, I want to thank Jeroen for moderating in the stream here today. We're going to be doing a simul every Sunday, almost every Sunday. We're not away somewhere, and that'll be at 6:30 p.m. CET on Sunday, 40/40 simul. You guys can also check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And don't forget to like and subscribe over there. Follow us on Twitch. And also, if anybody, you know, can afford to donate to support the stream, highly appreciate it. Donations via PayPal to keep it going. We've been going since February, and so far so good. I don't want to give up. We're doing good. Now we've got a pin here on G7. Black is stuck. F6 looks like the only logical move there. Unfortunately, I have this. Let's think about this. Imagine this is a lichess. It looks like a lichess problem. This position. It really does. Is there any other option here? It's so close to being a lichess problem. It looks like queen c5 check is the only real move. And then how do we checkmate? I just don't see a mate. Queen h5, excuse me. Queen h5 doesn't do anything. So we've got to go here to draw him out further, but now there's no way to checkmate him. Does not appear to be a mate here. White to move and win. I have an idea. It's not a check. G4 looks pretty good. Difficult to answer. You guys should do the problems on lichess, the tactics problems. Some of them are very, very challenging. It's good exercise. Yeah, Mahmoud, you keep missing us by one game. I'm sorry about that. That's 2 days in a row, I think. But I have to follow the order of the challenges. So, sorry today I got the stream up noted on lichess a little bit late. So a lot of people didn't realize I was streaming till we were already like an hour into the stream. Kind of an unusual little glitch in the program, but in my program. Normally I notice, but I didn't have it titled right on Twitch right away. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We will see you guys then. Andrea, how can you stop mate? Only move is like bishop d5, I guess. Looks like bishop d5 probably best. And then just give up more pieces. If you take, it's made into take, queen h5 check, king g7, mate in 3. Queen f7. Thanks, guys, for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow, and I appreciate Jeroen's help and everybody joining me here on the stream. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.